House Republicans making moves today on a plan to keep the government funded. They have a week to get this done, still trying to halt the president's immigration plan. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham is with me now from the Hill. How are you, Senator? And stay out of the chimney, my man.
Well, that guy's got a future in politics.
Getting unstuck, perhaps. Good morning to you. The House plan would fund everything for about a year, except all aspects of Homeland Security. Is that a good idea?
Very good idea. We've got a challenge here. The president's executive action is a tremendous overreach. And to my Democratic friends, be careful what you wish for, because the president is not deferring prosecution within his discretion. He's reaching out to a group of people that could be deported and saying, you now have legal status. That's breathtakingly dangerous in a democracy, and we must push back, but we got to be smart about it. So I think what the speaker's come up with is a smart way to push back.
That's just very interesting, because the White House has not ruled it out. Would this get through the Senate or
yes.
not?
Yes.
It would?
Yes. I don't mean to. Yes, it would, because it makes sense.
That might be the easiest thing Washington's done in years.
Well, it makes sense. Look at it this way. We've got a dilemma. You know, the president is overreached. Everybody in the House should be mad. I'm very upset. I think this is poison the well when it comes to immigration reform. But if you shut down the government, you go too far, it becomes about us. And the last time we did this, it didn't work out too well for us. Let's keep the attention on the executive action, try to defund it in a smart way and not shut the entire government down. We'll be fine if we keep the debate on the right terms.
Wow. Okay, so 7 days to get that done, and based on that answer, I'll assume it will get done. Second topic, Benghazi, all right?
Right.
Several Republicans are not happy with this report that came out of the House. You call it garbage. Why?
Yeah. Well, number one, the report was seen as clearing the administration and absolving the intelligence community. That's garbage. There was active manipulation of the intelligence after the fact. Mike Morrell, the deputy director of the CIA, changed the talking points in a way politically beneficial to the White House. The original version of the talking points clearly indicated this was a pre-planned terrorist attack, and the deputy director of the CIA manipulated those talking points at the request of the White House to give it a different flavor, and Susan Rice took the ball and ran. So when you tell me this report doesn't show any manipulation or any intentional wrongdoing, it's just a fog of war, that is complete garbage.
Well,
there are people on the ground that will push back against this.
This was conducted by Republicans now.
I don't care. I could care less who it was conducted by. The ARB, the Accountability Review Board, was picked by Hillary Clinton to look at the State Department's action. Guess what? They never talked to her, but they basically cleared the State Department. You had the House Armed Services Committee, run by a Republican who I admired greatly, came out with a report absolving the Department of Defense. Now you have the House Intel Committee coming out with a report that is being pushed as the definitive document on Benghazi, where really it was all just a misunderstanding. I don't care who's doing these reports. Not one person has been fired. Nobody's been held accountable for the death trap called Benghazi, not coming to their aid for 9 hours and lying about what happened. That's why Trey Gowdy and Elijah Cummings need to take this over and look at it jointly, not in a piecemeal fashion. The people investigating Benghazi have reached conclusions that make no sense to me, and they're too close to the people they're overseeing.
More on that hearing in a moment, but answer this question. Mike Rogers, Republican from Michigan, is that committee chair.
Yes.
Do you trust Mike Rogers on this?
Mike Rogers is a friend. He's been really good on national security, identifying the threats to our nation and pushing rational policy. When it came to overseeing the CIA's involvement, I've always been concerned that the people in charge of overseeing are too close to the people they're supposed to be reporting on. I think you see defensive behavior on part of the House Intel Committee, the House Armed Services Committee, trying to protect their lane. And I am very worried about some relationships of House staffers in terms of where they went after they left the committee. That's why we need to start over, look at it jointly, where you have a joint committee, a select committee, looking at it together.
There is one more hearing, one more investigation still open in the House. You mentioned it. Gowdy's a part of that. How long before we get answers from that committee?
Well, I hope the Senate will join, Trey. I'm not going to sit on the sidelines and say the new Republican-controlled Senate could care less about Benghazi.
Do you think Mitch McConnell will approve that in January?
I hope so. I'm gonna talk to him about it. Trey Gowdy and Elijah Cummings have done this country a good service. How can you close the books on Benghazi, Bill, if you've never talked to Susan Rice, who 5 days after the attack came up with the most implausible explanation and write it off as a fog of war? I think there was active manipulation. It wasn't a fog of war issue. It was a political smokescreen created by the White House with complicity with the intelligence community. That's what I think the evidence will show, but I may be wrong. So I hope the Senate will form a joint select committee, let the House lead, and we write the definitive chapter on Benghazi. And until you talk to Susan Rice and people like her, how can you go to these families and explain to them exactly what happened to their loved ones?
Senator, thank you for your time. Lindsey Graham
Thank you.
from South Carolina on the Hill.